Welcome back, or if you're new here, thank you very much for checking out my YouTube channel. My name is Marcus Auerbach. I'm a local real estate agent here in Mequon, and today I would like to take a look at my very home market at Ozaukee County. Normally you hear me talk about the Milwaukee metro area, which is a 5-county area, and generally everything that is true for the Milwaukee metro area somewhat applies also for Ozaukee County. But as you know, we're a little special up here. So I thought I can do an episode that is specifically dealing with Mequon, Thiensville, Cedarburg Grafton, and Saukville, Port Washington. We're looking at what's going on currently in the real estate market as of November 2020. And I would also like to take you a little bit on a forecast for what might be in store for us in the winter months that are ahead of us. So before we jump into this, let me share this with you. Zillow has just published this report again. There's still a lot of uncertainty in the market. You may have read in the news that real estate has been doing very well. In fact, the real estate market is kind of leading the economic recovery. Real estate provides a lot of turnover for a lot of businesses. It's a lot of economic stimulus, but there's still a lot of uncertainty. Many homeowners are worried about, can I even sell my house right now? Is the market even good? Will I even find a buyer? What about the pricing? And in my book, the best recipe against uncertainty is looking at some data. So I have prepared a couple slides here for you. Maybe let's start with buyer traffic. We have very good data from showing time. This is specific for Wisconsin. And this shows us buyer traffic. And we have here as a benchmark in blue the year 2019. As you will recall, 2019 has been a very, very strong and bold real estate market. Prices have been going up in Wisconsin all year long. We have been short on inventory and buyer demand has been very strong. So it was a very strong benchmark year. And 2020 started even stronger than the previous year until we hit COVID. And then we went into lockdown, of course, showings, went down way fast here. But buyers did not sit still for very long. You can see here the recovery. And for pretty much the rest of the year, we have been exceeding the benchmark from 2019. And we are, of course, now going down, which is typical for the season. We're getting into holiday season. Real estate market is, quote unquote, cooling off a little bit because it is still hot and on fire. And you can see here, we are still on the buyer side. Buyer activity is still 16.2% higher than we have been at the same time of last year, which is phenomenal. August was a record month, September and October as well. Not only for me and my team, but also for the Milwaukee metro area in general when you look at the MLS. So we've never had fall months that were that strong. And I think it has to do with the whole market, that's normally in spring and summer has been shifted back into summer and fall this year. So let's take a look at what that means specifically for the local municipalities. Inventory is down, prices are up. That's the big picture takeaway here. Inventory is now much better than it has been before in spring and summer. This is 2020 year to date, so we're looking at almost a full year worth of data in comparison to the previous year. And when we look at Mequon, you can see here that inventory is still, total homes listed for sale this year is still about 5% shy of where we were in the previous year. But this is a lot better than what we were doing 4, 5, 6 months ago when we were down 30%. I've never seen the supply taking a hit like this and doing much better now. And we're recovering. Grafton is a little bit of an outlier with plus 17%. There's a lot of new construction going on. This is why we're seeing this here. And similar phenomenon also here with Port Washington. Now, this is the supply side. This is how much product we have on the shelf, how much we can sell. The interesting thing is that despite we're down on supply, the demand side, homes sold, is actually doing better than the supply side. So you can see this here in these numbers. Grafton again, the outlier here with plus 29%, and also Port Washington very, very strong. What is that doing for pricing? We're looking here at the median sold price And Mequon is up 9%, Cedarburg up, Grafton about 12% up, and also Port Washington up 4.6%. As a quick refresher, median is different than average. It's a better metric to look at because the median is just, when you have a list of 100 houses, you just sort them and you take number 50. That gives you the median, and the median is a lot more stable and a lot less impacted by outliers as the average would be. So median sales price has gone up throughout this year significantly. And this is not exactly the same thing as appreciation, but the increase in median sales price gives you a good indication of what home values are doing. But I'd like to take you on a little bit of a journey and go back 5 years and show you what has changed in the last 5 years. So here we have 2015 median sales price again. And when you look from January through October, we pretty much have been around $260,000. And fast forward 5 years later in 2020, we are here at pretty much $360,000. So this is roughly $100,000 more in a span of 5 years. And 2015 was a good neutral year. We already had well recovered from the 2008 crash, but it was not as crazy hot market as we have now. This is data, by the way, straight out of the MLS, just in case you're wondering. Inventory is very fast moving. We're looking here at something that's called absorption rate. This basically says how many months does it take to sell all the inventory that we have on the shelf right now. On a balanced market, we usually expect about 6 months worth of inventory, 5.5, 6. And you can see we're pretty much running on 2.5 months worth of inventory. So very tight on inventory. And this translates into very good sales prices. We have here a metric that's called sold to list ratio. And that gives you basically how much buyers are willing to pay in comparison to what sellers are asking. And that's historically always around 96, 97, maybe 98% on average. And we are actually trailing here at over 100% sold to list ratio as of October 2020. Let's take a look also on how that works out geographically. As you know, real estate is always a function of location. And when it comes to Mequon and Thiensville, the southeast side of Mequon has always been very attractive, very desirable, very prestigious to live there. Also practical because you're close to the freeway and you can easily get downtown and you are close to the lake. But for the last 2 years, I've been seeing a new trend emerge that is more towards West Mequon, which is becoming more and more attractive. I think partially, at least, because of the new developments that we've been seeing here in the Thiensville area with the Spur 16, the Ozaukee public market with the St. Paul fish market, to name just a few of the new bars, restaurants, and shops that we have seen here in the new development. Credit and thanks to the team around Cindy Schaefer here for this development. So I think that adds to the general appeal here on the west side. The reserves of Mequon here, that's a new subdivision, is almost fully built out. They're breaking ground right now on phase 2. Or I should say they broke ground a few weeks ago. You can see that when you drive south here. You'll see a bunch of big excavators there. They're preparing for phase 2. So West Mequon is definitely something to keep an eye on. Next, let's take a look at Cedarburg and Grafton. We have a situation here where we have the historic downtown area, both for Cedarburg and for Grafton, with rather smaller homes, and then they're surrounded by larger homes. A lot of new construction going on around Grafton, between Grafton and the freeway. I will actually be making a video specifically about the most interesting new subdivisions that are being built next year in 2021. Here in Ozaukee County, and some of them are here in that area. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then last but not least, one of my personal favorites, Port Washington. So Port Washington is probably the most underrated area that we have in Ozaukee County. And this is being recognized by more and more people because you are right on the lake. You have a very quaint marina. and you can enjoy a somewhat coastal lifestyle there, looking right in the lake for very, very affordable real estate prices. And I think I'm not the only one recognizing this. I spoke with the developer earlier this summer about what they're doing here with the new condos in the downtown Port Washington area. And those are going to be extremely attractive condos. You can see also dark red, high prices, but still very, very affordable if you compare it with the lower east side in Milwaukee, where you can enjoy these lake views. It makes Port Washington somewhat of an interesting proposition. Finally, here's my outlook for the next few months ahead of us for the holiday season, the winter months, and early 2021. Hopefully it's going to be a better year than 2020. We are going to see a very robust fall market for November. I can already tell you November is going to be very strong. And I expect this to somewhat carry even into December. So buyer demand is going to stay on the strong side. We also have very low interest rates, well below 3%, 2.75, 2.8%. I'm seeing on a daily basis. And that will also help with buyer demand. We're also seeing young home buyers entering the marketplace the first time. Older millennials are, not that young anymore. They're 38 years old and they are tired of renting, and they're certainly not going to move back in with mom and dad. So they're entering the housing market. So demand is going to remain rather high. On the supply side, I don't see much changing because even with an increase in builder activity, new construction remains too expensive for a lot of home buyers with well over $500,000. And also the capacity on the builder side is just not there to fundamentally change the supply and demand equation. So I remain rather bullish for the upcoming months and for the real estate market, for property values in general. I think we're going to see continued pressure on prices upward. And it should be a very, very interesting market for the next months. I hope you got some value out of this video and you enjoyed it. I post here on a regular basis, on a monthly basis. You get a real estate market update for the greater Milwaukee area, which also includes Ozaukee County. And I'm usually also taking a broader perspective on the state of the economy, unemployment rate, interest rates, etc., what is going on with the economy and how that is impacting the real estate market. So if you want to stay updated on all things real estate in Milwaukee, I would encourage and I would love it if you hit the subscribe button, and I will see you then in one of my next videos.